Hello, students, and welcome to the YouTube channel of Get Set Law by IMS. I'm your verbal ability mentor, Sanjana ma'am, and I have another editorial article today, which we are going to decode collectively. Now, for the ones who are new to this, I've already done so many sessions and brought so many different, genres of editorial articles. So you can definitely go and watch those sessions as well. That will just add a lot of color to your reading. Should you ever feel you don't have enough articles to read, you can definitely take recourse to those articles. All the articles that I decode here are extracted from the Hindu. Okay, and let's now discuss the agenda of today's session, which is important. How do we identify the important ideas, the central plot of the article, new words that we can learn, right? Skimming through the passage. Now, why this session becomes important is, let's just say a passage of a similar nature is asked in CLAT or any other relevant law entrance examination. Then are you really expected to read every thing word for word? Are you expected to read the passage verbatim? Is there a way you could just skim through the passage, read only the important parts? Yes. So this is also something that you get to learn. Not, in very absolute terms, but some bit of it. The more you watch these sessions, the better the hang you'll get of reading the passage. Slowly and steadily, you'll be able to build up on your reading and comprehension skills as well. Right? Having said that, let's take a look at today's passage. And I just felt that this particular topic is really informative, right? And the title is quite self-explanatory. It says a social media ban will not save a children. Now, hear me out, and this is important. As I said, do you really have to read everything word for word? And this is important only if a passage of a similar nature is asked in the exam. Now, passage this lengthy does not get asked, but supposedly, right? So, do you have to read it? No, because the first paragraph in this, the author just talks about a recent example wherein some young people had taken their lives. That is because of the onslaught of anxiety created by social media, is the underlying idea up till this part. Okay, so the important sentence to actually focus on here becomes the complex problem with the blunt instrument that absolves platforms of accountability. These days platforms, they do not really take accountability, they are free from it, right, while stripping young people of their digital rights. So this is a paradoxical situation. Now, even if you do not understand this statement, that's okay. This part becomes really important. The evidence which links heavy social media use to harm to adolescent mental health is beyond speculation, right? Now, this again becomes important. There are small but consistent associations between heavy social media use and increased anxiety. This is a point that the author wants to address, that social media, heavy social media use, not social media use in general, it leads to increased anxiety, right? Feelings of distress, right? Depressive symptoms, self-harm, and body image dissatisfaction amongst teenagers, particularly girls, right? So they serve a note of caution. And now this is the part where the crux of the passage starts, because the author wants to discuss this problem in the context of India. And how he chooses to do so is by talking about some countries which have in recent times imposed a ban on the usage of social media for children under 16, right? Or for the teenagers essentially. One example is given of that of Australia, right? Targeted ban. Now, India also thinks it should copy paste a similar approach to take care of the situation in India, right? So this is what Australia has done. Now you don't have to really read it so much. Only when you have the luxury of time and you are just reading this article for leisure, you can choose to read it entirely. But I'm just choosing to tell you the gist of it. That's how you really have to understand it if suppose like this gets asked in a reading comprehension based question. Okay. Now again, the example is given of that of Spain, where the Prime Minister on Feb 3, 2026 announced plans to ban social media for those under 16. Now, the author to a certain degree does appreciate this, right? He says these are emotionally satisfying responses, but are they really substantive in nature? No, because India cannot copy paste this approach due to 4 distinct reasons. You see how I did not really have to read the entire part so far, and I am just able to tell you the gist of every, passage here. So this is what you need to learn. Okay, so what are the reasons that India cannot copy paste similar approaches to take care of the situation? First, the bans are just very shallow in nature, for lack of a better word. They're not substantive enough. They're technically porous. Really nice way of using the word porous, right? And they're difficult to implement even if they're outsourced to the social media companies themselves, that you have to now come up with regulations which will sort of not have, people under 16 create accounts there. But they're just very hollow in nature. They're very shallow because adolescents are actually quite tech savvy these days. They're very digitally literate. So they have various means of bypassing the ban and circumventing the situation, right? So it can trigger a mass migration to VPNs, right? Virtual private networks, or worse, push young users from regulated platforms such as Instagram to encrypted, unmoderated concerns of the dark web. So that's really important. That's really potent and telling, right? The dark web is a very negative scenario because it just leads to grooming and it leads to extremism thriving unchecked there. Okay. Another problem, the second is it ignores the complexity of adolescent development, right? What do we mean by adolescent development? For rural adolescents, urban slum dwellers, queer and differently able teens seeking peer support, these platforms are just one of the very few vents that they have to sort of just raise their voices, understand things that are ongoing, right? Their only window to a community where they feel seen, right? So adolescent development also gets compromised here. The third reason is severe democratic deficit that the approach suffers from, right? Chronic habit of making policy for young people without ever speaking to them. Again, the third reason is more like, is the ban really substantive in nature? Without taking the POV of the young people, how can you just come up with the policy to put absolute restrictions on something? And fourth, and the most important one according to the author here, is it will certainly calcify. So the word is calcify here. It will certainly calcify what? The gendered social inequalities. Calcify, another word if I can give it to you, is ossify. Already solidify. Something that is already existing, you further cement it. What are you cementing? The entrenched gendered social inequalities, right? That will prevent girls from the lower income households, particularly the young ones, from using the internet for their social mobility, for their needs, for their utility, right? So data from some survey has been cited here. You don't really have to read the data so much unless a question on the data pops up. Okay. So in patriarchal settings, female internet access is already viewed with suspicion. A government mandate to police age is likely to result in families just confiscating the device entirely from younger girls. So it suffers from a lot of problems. So what can be done? That's a very thoroughly written article. You see the structure, there is a very solid introduction. You start the introduction with a very relevant example, and then you sort of touch upon the main problem, right? And then you elaborate more on the problem, the difficulty surrounding the problem. And then you sort of, offer suggestions. Now, what is a suggestion? The first is that the government has to abandon its addiction to censorship. So you cannot always come up with the reaction of, we will put an absolute ban on everything. That is not nice. That is harmful. Okay. So it has to stop relying on the blunt instrument of bans, right? Or centralizing every government response within the notice and takedown regime of the act. Instead, what needs to be done is that it must directly confront the economic power and technical architecture of big tech, right? Again, when you read further, it says that there has to be a digital competition law which should be legally enforceable, duty of care obligations towards minors, right? Second, India needs serious public funding for research and surveys on how social media actually shapes children's well-being locally across gender, class, caste, and religion, right? Because young people must be made the center of the policy, their point of view, their needs, their use of social media needs to be understood, right? So this is also important because according to the author, putting an absolute ban on social media is not going to produce any effective results, because sometimes we also use social media for upward mobility in society to actually make very productive and constructive use of it, right? But a heavy usage of social media in all the wrong directions is what the author feels particularly concerned about. So the issue of regulation, and this is what I really like about this passage, where, according to the author, on the one hand, we really demonize social media these days, particularly when it comes to it being used by the young people. But then on the other hand, we venerate artificial intelligence. Almost everybody today, you're already aware, is using ChatGPT or other AI platforms to sort of just do their own research on it. But this is only leading to a case of cognitive debt. That's a really nice phrase that the author has used. That leads to weaker critical thinking, right? So, relatively young people are already using generative AI tools for emotional and mental health support, right? We already know multiple examples on this, right? And this is only just leading to a lot of cognitive debt. It's impacting their critical thinking skills, right? Regulation has to be consistent, and a failure to consider AI regulation has also it's also supposed to be considered, right? So a ban only offers an illusion of control that, okay, the government is taking care of the situation, but is it really impactful in nature? Absolutely not, according to the content of the passage, right? The price would be paid by the very young people whose rights and futures are ostensibly means seemingly, right, being defended. Okay. So the lesson for the adults is to provide a healthy media ecology. Again, a really nice compilation of words here to communicate the main idea to our children, rather than taking social media completely off the table. So is taking social media completely off the table going to take care of the problem? Absolutely not. I can frame a question, an inference question on this, right? So this is tougher work than a ban, but it requires to confront our dissonance on the doctrine of tech-driven innovation that is exempt from regulation, right? And I pretty much said the same point forward, which is that on the one hand, we demonize social media, but on the other hand, we worship AI. So really nicely written article. It seems lengthy, but the content is really easy to understand. So that's it for today's editorial decoding. I hope you've understood it. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.